because Mac has effectively screwed me over for the second time in a row. So I just finished recording what was meant to be this video, only to find out when Mac says internal microphone, it actually means headset microphone and not the actual internal microphone on the Mac. So not too happy about that, but I'll just have to do it a third time, I guess. So this episode I'm just going to cover pistons and sticky pistons, because after recording that past episode it was actually a bit long. It was coming up on 20 minutes there, and since I do want to keep these nice and compact and concise, I just want to cut this one down to 10 minutes. So we'll just do pistons pretty in depth. So there's two types of pistons in the game. You've got your sticky and your normal pistons. So the big difference between the two is you can physically see on the normal piston, it does not have a glob of slime there. On the sticky piston, it does indeed have that slime there. On my texture pack, it also shows they have different arrows designating the type of piston as well. So the main functionality of a piston is you will see that when you put a redstone signal into it, the head is going to physically move forwards, and when you take said signal away from it, it's going to physically retract. So it'll push, and it will also retract. So with that is actually the main purpose of the piston, unsurprisingly, is to manipulate blocks by moving them. So with sticky pistons, they will physically push and pull a block, whereas normal pistons will only push a block. So you can see there, it's not actually retracting it, whereas this piston does actually retract it. So, with that being said, there is a hard limit. So you can't push the entire world with a single piston. There is a hard limit, which is 12 blocks. So if we get a piston there, and we say put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we've got 12 blocks there. You'll see this is the hard limit of the piston. It can push 12 blocks, but if you push any more, it no longer works. So that is basically universal, I think. I'm not sure if you can actually change this using mods or stuff. I'd assume that you could. But for the most part, this hard limit on 12 here, this is completely universal. You can't go any more than 12 blocks. So while that does limit you a bit, it's also a good limitation to have, so you don't have like absolutely crazy stuff, effectively. That negative is sort of offset by the positives. Now the positives of this being a piston is going to be 1, that it moves blocks, 2, the power of honey and slime blocks. So these are two things that you will find in your, does slash shop work here? No, it doesn't. These are going to be two things that you will find in your raiding shop, and for very good reason. The power of slime blocks is that you can retract and extend them all simultaneously. So you can see like that. So you can have plenty of different weird shapes with these blocks here. So something like that's also going to work. Just as long as you do not exceed that hard limit of 12 blocks, it will all move together. So I'm not sure how many blocks we have there. We'll just count that in a second. Just get some cobblestone as an example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're currently sitting on 11 blocks here. So we can add another block there. As a side note, anything that is connected to the slime block will be moved in sync with it. So we fire that. You'll see it still moves. We are on that hard limit of 12 now. So if we actually put one more block, you'll see that it can't retract anymore. That's the hard limit. Honey blocks function the exact same way, except these do not stick to slime blocks. So if you need, say, honey blocks, or if you need pistons moving, say, long arms in a tight area, and you don't have much room next to them, you can use honey blocks to offset that disadvantage of slime blocks. So you can see there that it's physically shifting over the top of it. It is only these two blocks that can do it, that sort of have this same functionality, but just don't stick together. It is only honey and slime blocks. Anything else won't work. With that being said, you will still get problems with honey and slime blocks. So for an example, if we do something like this piston here, this will not push. Because what's happening is it is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's trying to push this cobblestone here. Now these two things aren't directly connected, but they are indirectly connected through this cobblestone block. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now in order for that cobblestone block to move there, it needs to push the block in front of it forwards, which in turn is connecting this entire thing. So you will see that if I try and flick that lever, nothing's going to happen. That is because it's interconnected with everything else, because there is this block here present. So if you are having, or if you are struggling with slime blocks not pushing a total area, it is most likely because you're getting one of these crossover cases here, you're exceeding the block limit, it's grabbing onto something that you don't think it's grabbing on, or, I'll just cover this now, it is running into what is called an immovable block. So, most of the common immovable blocks, you've got obsidian, you've got chests, droppers, and dispensers. So we get a dispenser there, dropper, dispensers and droppers, and yeah, so that's a lot of. It's a bit hard to describe exactly what the immovable blocks are because they don't follow a set theme. There is a comprehensive list on the Wikipedia that, if you remind me, I will link in the description here for this video. But for the most part, these are like sort of going to be your main ones that you're running into. Furnaces and bedrock are also both immovable. I can't actually place bedrock here, but those are immovable as well. Hoppers you also can't move. Pretty much the rest of the blocks are all somewhat movable. You do get some fringe cases where, like, if you got a piston pushing, say, if we got a piston pushing a redstone torch, it will break the redstone torch, but the piston will still extend. So that's some cases as well. And as I said, though, there is a comprehensive list on the Minecraft Wikipedia page. I won't go through every case here because this, frankly, isn't worth their time, and you can look at it yourself. But I guess now that we've covered the immovable blocks, the movable blocks, the limitations of the pistons and the advantages, before we do that, actually, I will just cover very quickly. You can use these long sticky piston and slime block chains to move redstone pulses. So the three main ways you can do that is A, if you have a block of redstone on the end, B, if you have a observer on the end, or C, what you can also do is you can have a moving block here, and that will physically complete the circuit. So if we have a situation like this, there's an air gap there that pulse can't go through. However, if I'll just get a piston there. Why didn't you fire? Is that why? I'd say I've hit the hard limit. Alright. There we go. So you can actually see that this completes the circuit when you put that in. So slash lever, off, on, off, on. Pistons and sticky pistons both have an extension and retraction time of 1 redstone tick. There are other cases which I will cover later that I won't cover here though. And finally, for this specific video here, this is a very, very common issue that lots of people have with dispensers, dispensers, but also pistons and sticky pistons. This is called bud pairing. So this is a really, really weird little fringe scenario where you're actually physically powering blocks that you think you can't power. So you can see there that bottom block is being powered, even when there's nothing above it. It just isn't realizing that that's being powered there. What you can do to stop that is by using block update, or blocks that update, such as a note block there. So you can see that note block is physically updating that piston there. Other blocks include other pistons. Dispensers might, I'm not 100% sure on them actually. Generally, any block that's going to like physically update itself. Okay, yeah, that's not working. Any block that's going to like physically change its own state with like a redstone pulse or something, it will recognize that change. So observers might in certain cases. It's gonna be weird as hell, I think. Yeah, okay, so you can use an observer as well. That is not a good way of doing it. Do not do it like that though. Because like any other sort of interaction to that block there, that's also going to change it, because the observer's physically picking up the change there. But for the most part, the best way to think about these blocks here is you can actually relate them to an iron door or any other sort of 2x1 block. So you'll see here that if we get an iron door and we get a piston, this piston is actually going to be like, it's sort of going to be getting powered by that top block as well. I can't place that. Complex is being weird again. But for the most part, with an iron door, this is sort of what the powering is going to look like. So if we get some redstone glass, I'll just show you. So you can see here, you power any of these blocks, soft or hard power, it's going to update that iron door. So if we say break that block there, place that there, lever, you can see it's opening and closing that iron door. Pistons are pretty much the same, except you can actually power that middle block there as well, because the presence of the top, or the presence of the top of the iron door is no longer there. But this is sort of how pistons are going to get powered. So you can pretty much power any of those blocks in there. You power that one, you update it, you can see it's powering that. This is my favorite way to think about bud pairing. It's the one that I understand the most, at least. It's just, yeah, pretty much if you're having something bud pairing, think of this scenario where you replace that piston with an iron door and see what powers that iron door, and it's most likely going to be powering that piston. And with that, I think that pretty much sums it up for this video. So next time I'll take a deep dive into observers, the functionality of observers, and how you can use the observers in your cannons. Observers are my favorite block in the game. I will keep repeating that until I die, or until they release a better version of the observer. But apart from that, yeah, that'll pretty much sum up this video. Bud pairing's a bit of a finicky one. If you got like any questions with like specific scenarios or something, you can either try them out or just DM me on Discord. And additionally, I will try and link a list of the movable and immovable blocks in the description of this video if I remember. So yeah, apart from that, I'll catch you all later.